What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about a subject that is actually kind of hit home a little bit for me, but I decided to attack it from three separate angles, maybe 4 or 5, really depending on the information that I have. Subject is basically, you are God to your children. Let me say that again. You are God to your children. Okay? Now, the reason why I started to say that is because you basically are your kids' world. You know, they start out the world looking at you. They depend on you for everything that they have. You know, even throughout the time since they're a baby to they're growing up, you influence the thing that you're responsible for, basically what they are subject to, how they, in a way, you're kind of responsible for how they go out. Well, you are responsible for how they go out into the world, because you are their first line of defense. You know, and just on a maternal and paternal instincts, you do all you can to protect your child and send them out to the world, but you can't protect them from everything. But there's an old saying that says the apple does not fall far from the tree. So feelings buried alive never die. They just basically manifest and they grow. And sometimes they spread out. So how you are raised up as a kid and the things that you go through in life, you tend to pass on to your kids. So the first angle I'm going to attack you with, I'm going to tell you a story about a young man that I know, and talking to him, and talking to him about his life and things that he's gone through and where he's at currently. He basically shared some stuff with me that he didn't really want to share with me, but I really wanted to know what was going on with him, and he needed to get it out, and it was emotional. Actually brought him to tears. He didn't really know how to express it. He didn't really even know, but something was on my heart to talk to him and get the information from him. So basically it started out like this. He didn't grow up wealthy, didn't grow up poor either, like not extremely poor. He grew up in a good area, but his mom and his dad, they kind of had the working man or poor man's mentality. So he grew up like most kids. They learned in school. He looked around his circumstances. He decided, and he's always been like this, by the way. He's always been a go-getter. He looked around. He said, I don't want to live my life like this. I don't want to grow up and work every day, for somebody else. He said, I want to branch out and start my own business. Like, that's like a lot of people's dreams, but keep in mind, as I told you, you influence your kids no matter where you are in life. Your word, that's what kids follow. Your word. To look at your kids in the eye and tell them, I'm proud of you. I'm pretty sure you know what that feeling is like when you was a little kid and you do something and your parents were extremely proud of you and they are so excited. That excitement that they had, and they grabbed you, hugged you, kissed you, and told you, no, I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You make me so proud. You make me so happy. And all you want to do as a kid is go out and get that feeling. That first time, it's like a drug. You want to go out and get that feeling again, from your parent, because that, they're so proud of you. And you want to make them feel like that all the time. It's just something that, if you think back, you can probably imagine what that feels like. And some of you still know what that feels like, because your parents, even though you're an adult, you're older, your accomplishments, you still look for that validation from your parents. And so did he. So, he grew up like that. His parents, positive. They always raised him to be the best he can be up to a certain extent, but little did he know when he grew up, he outgrew, well, in their eyes, he outgrew their expectation of accomplishment. So they felt that they had to pull him back. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But basically, what happened was, kid grew up. He grew up. Parents worked all his life. Parents never really wanted much for themselves. All they wanted to do was go to work every day, survive. That's what they taught, survive. Luckily, he grew up in an area where he was exposed to other things, and he learned thrive. He talked to other kids. He was exposed to other, intelligent men. He always wanted more for himself, so he put himself under the mentorship, before he knew what a mentorship was, of people who were successful. He learned, but he still had this nag in the back where he came from, and over time, he thought, in his mind, his naive mind, he thought, if I become successful, now what most kids think, I can retire my parents, I can make sure they live better, I can upgrade, their thought process. But they were stuck in that mentality of always wanting to work, survive, not thrive, not enjoy life. His dad never took vacations. Even when he took off, he never really did much with his kids. He basically took off and, hung out with them, but he never really took them anywhere. He never took them on any trips. He never really showed them anything, but he always got up and went to work every day, so that's all they knew. So long story short, when he grew up, he was an ambitious young man. He wanted more out of life. He didn't want to work and seeing his parents come home dead tired, not enjoying his life, not spending time with his kids. So he told himself, he was from an environment where, kids had kids early. They had kids early, and he said, that's not going to be me. I'm going to plan my life, which is what he learned from mentors. You can plan your life. You don't have to fall victim to circumstances, make good choices. So he was very conscious of that. He always thought 5 steps ahead of what his next step was going to be. He mapped it out. He wrote out goals before he really knew what goals were. He knew what his life looked like in detail. So only thing he had to get rid of was, which I helped him identify as of right now, was the emotional drainage that he had from the most important people in his life, which is his mom and his dad. His dad, not so much. His dad always told him he could be whatever he wanted to be, never really pushed the issue, but his dad never encouraged him either much, in terms of what he wanted to do. Never really told him he was proud of him, past his, kid stage. But his mom was a different animal. His mom was, and this is not her fault, this is just how she was raised. She was a crab in a barrel. She always discouraged him. And by discouraging, not necessarily from words, but every time he made an accomplishment, every time he was met with a difficulty or something that happened, in his life, he was able to overcome it. When she had difficulties in her life, he reached out to help her. At some point in her life, she gave up. She decided, this is just how I'm going to be till I die. And that wasn't his life. He tried to encourage her and tell her, you can do better. You can do better. But she always made excuses. And that's number one. When you have people in your life who make excuses over their own success, you got to move those people out of your life. You can't hold on to those people. You can't hold on to those people. You got to remove them out of your life. So he tried. He definitely tried to push her to a different point, giving her examples of other people. And she felt like, you're ashamed of me. You're ashamed of me. He like, no, I'm not ashamed of you. I just know you can do better. I believe in you like you should believe in me. Everything he told her to make her life better, she always believed the negative part. She was consistently a drain on his life, to the point where, he felt bad. Every time he just achieved something that she said he couldn't do, he would go out and achieve it. And she would still never say, good job, son. Or it was a sarcastic. He never felt that sense of validation that he had as a kid. And he was always looking for that from his mother. But she never gave that to him. She basically was a crab in a barrel. Every time he achieved something and she seen him going somewhere, she would, when they would get into arguments or whatever, she would always tell him, don't get the big head. Don't be humble. Don't believe, basically don't believe in yourself. Like you doing good, but what's gonna happen when you fall? Instead of saying you're not gonna fall, you're gonna succeed. What kind of stuff is that to tell to your child? that they won't succeed in life, that they should be weary and basically prepare themselves to fail, instead of survive. So he went through life that way. He went through life like that. Right now he's in his 30s, and he never had kids. Doesn't have any kids. And part of the reason is he was always helping his mom, trying to make sure she was okay. And that's a totally different subject on that, but just making sure she was all right. Basically trying to survive himself into it, because he was fighting. He was fighting because he thought he needed that validation. Because this, like I said, your parents are God to you. He learned late in life that he didn't have to go her path. But who wants to go off and be successful and you can't bring the people you love the most with you? Especially your mom and your dad. So he's looking around and seeing other people, their mom and their dad, successful or proud of their success. Even if they come from humble